Days ago, it was the former government minister and lawmaker, Tzachi Hanegbi. He published a piece in a prominent Israeli newspaper that essentially Benjamin Netanyahu is coming back to be prime minister in order to take on Iran's nuclear program. And despite not making the Likud party's elected list this round, Hanegbi was the most veteran member of parliament, serving for decades in the Knesset. Just yesterday, he was appointed as the next head of the government's National Security Council, seen as taking a hard line now on Iran. And we're joined by IDF Reserve Brigadier General Professor Jacob Nagel, a senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and until 2017 served as the head of Israel's National Security Council in the government. Thanks for being with us. It appears that we aren't the only ones to take note of this potentially new hardline government for Iran. Tehran issued a new message or warning accompanied by graphics, sort of reminding us of their longstanding desire, as they put it, to quote-unquote raze Tel Aviv. Now, if Israel touches their nuclear weapons program, of course, what's coming in this arena this year?
Okay, thank you very much for hosting me. I think it's very important. And again, I think that the nomination of my good friend Tzachi Hanegbi is a very good nomination. I am sure you will know how to differentiate between being a politician and the head of the National Security Council and the NSA. He knows how to do it. He's a veteran. He served many years on the very, coveted committees in the Knesset and, of course, in the cabinet and as a minister. He's a great guy, and I think he will make the work very good. He have a very good people in the NSC. He have a very good one, second in command, and some other very important people. Now, about Iran. Now, as I just mentioned several times ago, I think that on Iran, there is not a big difference. Of course, the tone is not the same, and Netanyahu talked about Iran many times, and Tzachi Hanegbi the same. Now, it's amazing, and I'll come back to other people in Israel that are saying some nonsense, but it's amazing that Iran is threatening Israel. Now, Iran is continuing violating almost every commitment they did to the world, and the world is not doing a snapback or going back to return all the sanctions, Europe and other countries. And even so, President Biden said, he was recorded, said that the JCPOA is actually dead. Some of his staff still looking around the corner on very creative so-called ways to revive the JCPOA that will give Iran, instead of punishing her because what she's doing inside Iran and helping Russia against Ukraine, trying to do things.
Along those lines, I want to throw another question.
I see that Israel will have to make all the preparations to take care about Iran nuclear program on its own. I hope the world will come to its senses, especially the United States and Europe, and understand that the problem is not an Israeli problem, it's a world problem, but Iran is still doing what they want. Now the world see what's going on. When they're violating the nuclear
hasn't much reaction. Look, it certainly felt for many years that it's an Israeli problem. I want to get your thoughts on that. You mentioned the JCPOA, and this is, from 2011 to 2015, you headed the Strategic and Defense Policy Directorate at the National Security Council here. I mean, you were leading the Israeli team of experts that were working with these countries to negotiate on this joint comprehensive plan of action. A lot of conflicting reports on, what Israel truly thought about the JCPOA, but is there a good deal to be had now in 2023?
There are no contradictions. Israel did not want the JCPOA from the beginning. I was the head of the expert team. It was an, of course, secret one. We tried to explain all the powers in the world. Russia, China, it didn't work. But UK, Britain, and France, and of course, United States, what are the big mistakes that they are doing? They changed some things in the JCPOA, but we told them exactly what will happen, and 5 years later, 8 years later, we see now that everything we said is it's going on. Now the world is now changing its views against Iran. Why? Because finally, it's not even the nuclear, because the world is tired from the nuclear. It's because they are violating human rights. They are killing women and children. They are helping Russia to kill women and children in Ukraine. So suddenly everyone say they are bad. Because of the nuclear program, they are always looking for ways to go bad, because especially Biden administration want to checkmark Iran and go to the other problems. It won't work.
Is it harder now? Is it harder now, though, this year versus 10 years ago? Versus 10 years ago, is a nuclear strike, a military strike, possible on Iran today versus 10 years ago?
Again, no one wants a strike. Everyone wants a deal, a real good one that will close all the paths of Iran to a nuclear program, all of them permanently. If not, someone will have to do something.
Is it possible?
Sometimes it's a war between war, sometimes it's other things, sometimes it's cyber, sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's kinetic. Israel cannot tolerate nuclear Iran, and the world should understand that they cannot tolerate nuclear Iran. Probably Netanyahu, Tzachi Hanegbi, the new Minister of Defense, probably Yoav Gallant and others, Ron Dermer, all others will have to do what is needed to make sure that Iran will be out of its nuclear program. It's not going to be easy, but we have to be ready to do it.
Well, certainly have major implications around that, and we're all holding our breath to see where that all goes from here this coming year. Thanks for being with us.
We are going to a very interesting.
I agree with you there, no doubt about it. We'll keep covering it very closely on this program. Thanks for being with us.